What if you woke up one day to find yourself as a minor character in the very world you created? That's exactly what happened to our protagonist, a novel author. The world he created in this story is facing the apocalypse. Towers and dungeons appeared from nowhere, spawning monsters. They attacked humanity, plunging the world into ruin. Famously, this is happening on the Korean peninsula, an area where towers and dungeons appear constantly. That place is also known as Hell, because the monsters there are more savage than in any other country. They cruelly attack, stealing thousands of unfortunate lives. But in darkness, the light shines even brighter. Glorious and radiant, it is born. In this world, those rays of light are called heroes. Thanks to their power, Korea has been able to fight the monsters, gradually gaining control of the towers and dungeons. By using the industry built around the disaster as a driving force, they recovered from the crisis. Over time, Korea became a force competing for the top spot with the US, while also becoming a beacon where heroes from around the world gathered. This place also became the benchmark for preventing the increase of monsters and dungeons. They also established a hero association based on magical arts and magical engineering, called the Cube. The Cube brings together aspiring heroes from around the world who have passed the association's impossible selection criteria. It's also where the hero who will save the world in the novel and his arch-rival coexist. That's all the basic setup of the story the author created. At the entrance ceremony for the association, the top student among the freshmen is Kim Soo-ho, who is also the male lead in this novel. The students entering the Cube this year are all outstanding. But among them, Kim Soo-ho is beyond imagination for a 17-year-old. After all, he's the main character, so the author buffs him unfairly. It's normal for him to be overpowered. Soo-ho will lead the chaotic era dominated by heroes and monsters. He possesses the qualities of a righteous hero, holding goodness and justice, while also concealing a secret from the eyes of others. If there's a male lead, there's also a second male lead. If there's a protagonist, there's also an antagonist. The one who will oppose Soo-ho is the second ranked among the freshmen. His name is Shin Jong-hak, the fourth generation of the Gilsung Chaebol. He possesses the potential to challenge the main character, but in the future, he will become an antagonist and a staunch believer in elitism. Right now, Shin Jong-hak may just be a freshman, but from the later part of the novel, Jong-hak becomes twisted due to his inferiority complex towards Soo-ho. Light and darkness clash and conflict once again. That's about the two main characters, the center of the novel world that the author created. But ironically, fate is playing tricks on the father of this novel. People who transmigrate usually become the main character or supporting character. Who knew our guy here would draw the short straw, transmigrating into a minor character named Kim Chun-jong, which sounds ordinary and cheesy. There's no information about his background. He can't even recognize his own face and carries a big question mark. The author really picked the worst lottery. It's so unlucky to become a character never created in his own work. There is no established appearance, and the name is outdated. This presence is even smaller than a grain of sand. An extremely ordinary character with absolutely no connection to the main characters. It seems this guy was created just to meet the KPI quota. An extra in the novel, you couldn't get more bland. Everything happened on one fine day. The author of the novel, Kim Ha-jin, received a strange email. It proposed remaking his Hero Returns novel to satisfy a personal interest. But because he ran out of ideas, Ha-jin stopped publishing Hero Returns. Usually, drop products like that mostly go unnoticed. So, this remake request made Ha-jin a little puzzled. He wrote an email back, politely declining. But little did he know it would become the main cause of everything now. It has been 2 weeks since Kim Ha-jin transmigrated into the novel as Kim Chun-jong. The big question mark is still stuck on his unrecognizable face. But at least he has gotten used to it. This is really not a dream, but the world Ha-jin wrote. And Kim Chun-jong is one of the countless extras in it. Over the past 2 weeks, Ha-jin has tried many ways, but still can't figure out how he got here. Who left him here and why? Maybe he'll have to stay in this world for a very long time. Maybe a year, 2 years, or if it follows the plot, about 10 years. Living 10 years in a novel with a question mark on his face. Just thinking about it makes Ha-jin feel chilled, depressed, and gloomy. Life out there is so fun, happy, comfortable, and beautiful. Ha-jin really doesn't want to bury his life and live day by day in this discontinued novel. It's frustrating, but he has no choice right now. The only way is to try to stick to the main plot to find a solution to escape this world. If I can get halfway into the story, then it's just stuff that happens after the serialization stopped. There's no other way but to try and survive according to it. And to do that, in this hero returns to the novel world, the first thing Hanjin needs to do is go to school. The cube is actually an artificial island in the East Sea. About 50,000 people live there, including aspiring heroes. It's a city that gathers talented people in magic and manufacturing from all over. And Cooper, the Hero Training Academy, is one of the reasons South Korea is called a powerful nation. It's the core of the city and the main stage of the novel. Cooper's entry requirements are very high and strict. Only a small number of hero candidates with special and talented abilities can become cadets at Cooper. Even though he's just a minor character, Kim Chun-jong, the owner of this body, is also a Cooper cadet, so he's not just anyone. It's just that Hanjin doesn't know what that ability is yet. Today, he's going to the classroom of truth. Hanjin opened the door and stepped into the room. This is the center of the Cooper's chain of events. It's also where the villains and rivals, associates and enemies, and the main characters of this novel are. Each character line will soon split into groups, and they will face many events because of it. Just thinking about having to live for 10 years with these people, without even a decent face, makes Hanjin feel incredibly annoyed. That afternoon, returning to the dorm, Hanjin was so tired he didn't even know how the day had gone by. Suddenly, he noticed a strange package from Cooper Deliver left on his desk. Hanjin curiously peeled off the tape to see what the package was, and he was really surprised. Inside was the computer that Hanjin was using in his real world. Hanjin picked up the computer, confused as to why it was here. Suddenly, the computer screen lit up with the words, "Synchronization started." The light from the screen was so bright that it blinded him, causing Hanjin to drop the computer. The computer continued to display synchronization with Kim Ha-jin. Looking at the command tabs and control panels that were appearing, Hanjin couldn't believe his eyes. It was the launch setting he had written. Hanjin wondered who had sent this to him. He reached out to check, but just then, the synchronization was almost complete. The computer screen suddenly went black. A control panel appeared. Acquire unique interference authority. Hanjin felt like his body was breaking into pieces at that moment. The light gradually faded away. The system displayed. Synchronization successful. Kim Chun-jong has been converted to Kim Ha-jin. All data will be synchronized. Kim Ha-jin slowly turned on the computer. The reflection made him freeze. Isn't this my real face? Kim Ha-jin looked at the virtual screens flying around him in confusion, thinking, what's happening? And what are these things? He blankly muttered, "Don't tell me." Before he could finish, the virtual screen suddenly displayed the words, "Synchronization complete." Kim Ha-jin questioned, "An enlightenment?" The phenomenon of awakening occurs when a person surpasses their limits. In this world, it is called enlightenment. Following enlightenment, they can see talent, skills, abilities, and many other values. They can also become stronger with a much more effective method. Simply put, they can see the status window. At the same time, the system screen also displayed the status. Kim Ha-jin, current product, 100 current points, 100 name change from Kim Chun-jong to Kim Ha-jin. Synchronization complete. Kim Chun-jong's initial state converted into 10 points. Stats include uncertain index, strength, 1_2_ endurance, 1_3_ agility, 1_5_ talents include observation and analysis. Proficiency and establishment are both below 0_3_ out of curiosity. Kim Ha-jin pressed the talent button. Talent, observation and analysis. Observation can observe people who appear in sight. Analysis can analyze laptop settings at any time without intermediaries. Proficiency, establishment, and stats are all below 0_3_ uncertain index. Strength, 1_2_ endurance, 1_3_ agility, 1_5_ reasoning, 2_ life, 1_3_ magic, 1_ fixed stats. Intelligence, 4105_ 10_ perseverance, 5_0 1_ luck, 6_33 10_ charm, 4135_ 10_ a long string of information that surprised him a bit. Then Ha-jin, while scrolling through the system panel, muttered, "For now, let's just check them regularly." Looking at the information about synchronizing Kim Chun-jong to Kim Ha-jin, complete. Kim Chunjong's initial state converted into 10 underscore points. He thought with great interest, what attracts my attention the most is synchronization and initialization. Kim Hajin coldly pondered, I don't know what they are, but they're definitely the reason why my face is no longer a question mark and is back to normal. My stats have decreased compared to Kim Chunjong's, but in return, I get points. Thinking of this, he immediately glanced at the system panel. And the next thing to pay attention to is... At the same time, the system also displayed the information panel, settings, interference, unique authority. You can use the product to write or edit any non-living object. You can use the product to write or edit stats, talents, proficiency, and establishment. Limited to target, Kim Hajin. Product points. The more important Kim Hajin is to the world, the more product points you receive. 1 point can be converted into 1,000 products. Considering the newcomer, you can learn a talent by consuming 10,000 products. Looking at the pile of words, Kim Hajin felt a little dizzy and muttered, What the hell is this? Glancing at the last few lines, he was a little speechless. I don't remember ever writing this ability. The more important Kim Hajin is to the world. Saying this, Kim Hajin suddenly stopped. He widened his eyes in shock. Could it be? I have to increase my importance in the novel. Recalling the dangers he had faced, Kim Hajin gradually realized the problem. The reason I was given this laptop and this strange ability is to interfere with the main plot of the world. He muttered angrily, that unrealistic theory. However, at that moment, a dazzling light suddenly appeared behind him. It turned out to be the system with the message. Temporarily locked information will be unlocked when the plot ends. Looking at those words, Kim Hajin twitched in anger. So, what you're saying is if I want to find hints on how to return to my old world, I need to shut up and interfere? With that, he pulled out a chair and sat down at the desk. Kim Hajin typed away, thinking, yeah, there's no guarantee I'll be sent back to my original world, even if I just sit and wait until my part is finished. Images of the novel's characters flashed in his mind, solidifying his suspicion. Even if the information unlocked isn't the hint I'm looking for, I might accidentally stumble upon clues about escaping this world if I get involved with the main characters. Kim Hajin solemnly vowed to do that. Just then, the system screen popped up. Spend points on stats. Do it. He unhesitatingly moved the cursor towards stats. I need to become strong enough to change the main plot. There's no leveling system in my novel. Basically, because a person can't increase their stats at will. The only way to do it is through products, a super precious resource. And if I want to collect the most products possible, I need to invest in luck. The word luck practically danced above Kim Hajin's head. He stroked his chin thoughtfully. Luck isn't just limited to finding unidentified rewards in dungeons. Luck creates effects. Making money, stat bonuses, diverse relationships. It's a cheat stat that applies to every aspect of life. As he thought this, his eyes fell on the words, convert points into 10,000 products. Kim Hajin coldly wondered, of course. A fixed stat like luck, once set, can't be increased with points. But maybe it's possible if I convert points into products. Without much thought, he immediately hit the keyboard. Should I try it? Soon after, the system popped up a message. You have converted 10 points into 10,000 products. Next, a series of stats appeared. Invest 9,000 products into luck. Fixed stats. Intelligence. 41 5 underscore 10 underscore perseverance. 5 underscore 01 underscore luck. 6 underscore 33 underscore 10 the luck. 6 underscore 33 underscore 1 underscore. Charm. 4135 underscore 10 underscore. Just when it seemed over, a purple system screen suddenly appeared in the middle of the display. A mystical stroke of luck has occurred. Kim Hajin was a little surprised by this sudden notification. Then, the system displayed another message. A mystical stroke of luck has occurred. Luck changed to 1 underscore. He pondered slightly upon seeing this notification. Luck even affects itself? Kim Hajin immediately fell into deep thought. The main character, Kim Suho, has a magic stat of 9 underscore 0 underscore. A desirable result. Kim Hajin, while rapidly typing, calculated, invest the remaining products into perseverance. After all, I need to endure the harsh training of the tower. The system displayed a new congratulatory message. A massive stroke of luck has occurred. Perseverance increased from 6 underscore 6 underscore to 7207 underscore replaced. He awkwardly smiled and praised. Luck is God. However, just at this moment, the screen displaying information suddenly glitched. Immediately afterward, a warning appeared on the screen. A bug has been detected that could negatively impact the plot. This scene immediately startled Kim Ha-jin, who shouted loudly. After his scream, a threatening message was sent. From now on, fixed stats cannot be interfered with using products. Looking at the screen before him, Kim Ha-jin's mood plummeted. He clenched his fist and morosely cursed. That's not fair at all. After a few minutes of grumbling, Kim Ha-jin tilted his head back and sighed. Looks like cheating has its limits. I thought everything was going so smoothly, but at least I changed luck and perseverance. As he said this, an idea popped into his head. Come to think of it, remembering the previous message, Kim Ha-jin murmured, I have 10,000 other products from the newcomer consideration. He fell into a daze, contemplating life. After much deliberation, Kim Ha-jin finally sighed in resignation and whispered, maybe I should think carefully before using them. The next morning, a booming voice echoed from inside the classroom. Good work this morning, everyone. Kim Ha-jin listlessly sat with his chin propped up, listening to the introduction. Now, I'll introduce myself. My name is Kim Suk. I'll be your homeroom teacher for the coming year. Kim Suk's monotonous voice continued. Score ranking. 3_850_ ranked 9_737_ H worldwide. The students murmured among themselves at this information. Rank 9_000_H. Out of 2 million? He's amazing. I've never seen him before. Ignoring the noise, he continued. As for the overall grade level, it's high intermediate. After briefly introducing himself, Kim Suk looked around the room and said, that's all for the introductions. Now let's start with the immediate issues. Cube isn't the magical place you expect. You'll be entirely determined by your scores, and if you can't perform properly, you'll be held back. In reality, less than half of the cadets graduate without being held back. Rachel Elizabeth Lewis listened intently below. This is a hero-nurturing factory. You'll be assessed on strict and precise standards. Kim Suk became more animated than ever. He loudly ordered, now, everyone stand up and follow me. And so, the first part of the schedule, choosing a main weapon. A moment later, inside a dark room, the only light flickered from a control panel, recognizing the hand. After a few seconds, the door in front suddenly opened, startling the students and Kim Ha-jin. A vast room filled with different kinds of weapons came into view, from sharp, shining swords neatly arranged in cabinets, to weapons requiring the user's strength, like spears and maces. At this sight, soft exclamations continued to be heard. While marveling at the scale of the armory, everyone jumped at the teacher's loud shout. I didn't give you time to be amazed. Quickly choose your weapons. Everyone quickly chose the weapon they were interested in. At the same time, Suk was speaking nonstop. Once you choose a main weapon, you won't be able to change it for at least 6 months, so consider wisely. While everyone was racking their brains, Kim Suho quickly picked up the jet black sword from before. He seemed very satisfied with this main weapon. Elsewhere in the room, a bow lined with red velvet was being raised, ready to aim and fire. It was Chai Nayan. She seemed to really like this type of long-range attack weapon. At the same time, Rachel had also chosen her favorite weapon. She was carefully examining the sword in her hand. Around them, the students had chosen their favorite weapons. Yu Yona casually grabbed a set of braided whips. Kim Ha-jin stood on the side, observing everything and coldly pondering. The main characters have chosen their weapons smoothly. Then, he immediately lowered his head to examine the weapon cabinet below his hand. Now it's my turn. Kim Ha-jin kept glancing back and forth between the countless weapons. He sternly reminded himself, gotta be careful. Looking at those 2 sharp weapons, he felt a twinge of regret. My stats are too low to master the weapons used by cadets. Kim Ha-jin's eyes shifted elsewhere, and he sighed softly. Even if I boost my stats to try using them, the result would still be far less than the effort put in. So there are a few fixed conditions for choosing my weapon. He paced, observing the weapons, deep in thought. A weapon I've used in the old world. A weapon that takes little time to get used to. And then, Kim Ha-jin's steps faltered. There it is, he cheered inwardly. At that moment, another student noticed his actions. After a few seconds of astonishment, he turned to gossip. Look at that guy. Following his gaze, everyone gasped in disbelief, whispering, what Theo? Are you kidding me? This commotion quickly attracted Suk's attention. When the teacher witnessed the scene firsthand, a hint of horror flashed in Suk's eyes. After a moment, he stammered, "Cadet Kim Hajin, that gun in your hand, with that innocent face." Suk asked, somewhat dumbfounded, "Is that the weapon you've chosen?" Everyone was gathered, waiting to be called after selecting their weapon. The training officer, after reviewing the submitted files, suddenly called out loudly, "Cadet Kim Hajin, I recall you used a sword at the military academy." Clutching the gun firmly, he casually replied, "I've made my decision." The training officer skeptically pressed. After coming to Cooper, he firmly responded, "Yes." Though filled with doubt, Teacher Suk had to concede to his decision. "All right, all decisions at Cooper are made by the cadets." Suddenly, he yelled, "Whether the decision is right or wrong, the cadets bear full responsibility. Never forget that." Hajin seemed to listen intently. Abruptly, the noise from the other cadets caught his attention. The crowd began whispering about the weapon he'd chosen. Is he crazy? Why did he come a Cooper if he was going to choose a magic gun? I don't get it. Should I smack him around a bit during the mock battle? Isn't he just a show-off? Even so, it didn't overly affect his decision. A magic gun is still a good weapon in this world, he thought, especially against ordinary people who can't resist magic. The most commonly used bullet is a magic bullet. Because it's full of magic, it has relatively great destructive power compared to ordinary metal bullets. Despite its strengths, the reason magic guns are avoided here is because a bullet with terrifying destructive power was fired, but was immediately blocked. The red-haired cadet charged like a beast, smashing the bullet that had just been fired. Its limitations are clear. After completing a series of actions, the training officer announced, "Cadet Shin Jonghak." The officers continued to explain the difficulties. The first reason is that no matter how strong the wielder is, the gun's destructive power is limited. And the second reason is the gun has a short history. In this world, myths and legends come to life. Mythical and legendary artifacts are used as armaments in reality. And the more illustrious the origin and the deeper the history of the item mentioned, the higher the weapon's grade. For this reason, cadets often choose older weapons over modern ones. Not only do they believe in magic bullets, but also in their skills. Even if they reach their limit, they can still use armed force to take it a step further. After skimming over the basics of guns, Hajin felt they were really a pain. "Wash my hands of all responsibility. Of course, this has nothing to do with me." As he strode down the hallway, passing through the crowd, he mused, "Acting like I'm the main character in a manhwa. I haven't even held a sword before, so how can I compare to the other cadets?" Gazing at the suitcase he held firmly in his hand, he couldn't help but have his own thoughts. A gun might not be a bad choice. It's something I can use immediately, and when I use it, I can stand out so I can get support. Hajin's face suddenly turned serious. He was as if preparing to enter a new battle. Now that I've chosen a weapon, it's time to choose a talent, Hajin thought. To explain, a talent is an ability that can be considered special. A sword, thanks to talent, can easily slice through a massive boulder. He continued to explain, each person can only receive one talent, but there are a few exceptions. There are both passive talents and activated talents. The wielder of the holy sword. Kim Suho, the next name was called. A young man, hearing his name, quickly ran forward. The caller was a girl. Seeing him, she spoke up. "Chai Nayan, you're training here too." In response, she quickly complained about Suho's question. "Well, why else would I be at the training center?" He retorted, "There aren't many people after class, so I came here." After chatting for a while, he suddenly remembered something and leaned closer to ask, "Nayun, I remembered something after seeing you. We all had another sharpshooter in our class." Hearing him ask, she tried to recall, "Sharpshooter? Hajin? Or something?" Hesitating for a long time, she finally said, "Oh, right. That guy." Suddenly, Nayun's expression changed strangely, her eyebrows furrowing uncomfortably. Seeing this, he asked, "What's with that reaction?" She quickly retorted, "That Hajin guy, or whatever. I can't stand him. You can't call him a sharpshooter when his shooting range is less than a kilometer." She suddenly sighed, speaking as if it were obvious. He's probably given up on becoming a hero. Since he can't quit school if he retires early, he's just trying to hang on longer. Suddenly, Suho interrupted her. "Him giving up? You can't just say things like that so casually. Show some respect." Nayan looked at him like he was some weird alien. Suho just smiled back at her like a good kitty waiting to be petted. Suddenly, she yelled right in his face, "Don't tell me what to do, Kim Suho." Suho, taken aback, just stammered, "Sorry." Nayun's scream echoed through the training room. If you're not going to train, get out of here. Meanwhile, Hajin, the guy they were just talking about, felt a tickle in his ear. He rubbed his ear, thinking, someone's talking about me? Guess I can add talking behind my back to my support list. He nonchalantly stared at the computer screen, lost in thought. In any case, the main character can become the greatest hero with his talent. Talent is that important. And since I got 10,000 points when I wrote my first talent, I can't pass up this chance. The computer screen flashed. Intervention, authority setting. Adjustments possible. Skills and items can be adjusted. Parameters and talents can be written. Using authority consumes support. When creating your first talent, 10,000 support points will be provided. Hajin immediately got to work. First, I should write something simple, right? After some editing, the text on the computer changed. Talent. Master Marksman Aero skilled in using long-range weapons. As soon as he confirmed, another notification popped up. You have used 10_000_ support to write talent. He stared intently at the changing computer screen, surprised. He muttered, so it'll automatically be edited like that? The system panel immediately updated. Master Marksman Aero mid-level. Dark Element Aero proficiency evolution 10_ points. Proficiency experience 0_. Time bullet. In battle, every 4 hours, a total of 3 seconds will be granted for time bullet. Train Master Marksman. You've mastered all long-range weapon skills. Eagle Eyes. You can see far distances and accurately predict the target's movements. Looking at his work, he was extremely satisfied. All long-range weapons skills are useful. Not just guns, I can use bows in the future too. Most of all, it's a talent that can turn things around. It's a little disappointing, but developing it further would be an advantage. Thinking long-term is better. After thinking for a while, he finally decided, all right, I choose this. After a series of actions, Hajin happily leaned back in his chair, exclaiming, now I feel more ready. I got tired just thinking about all those talents. Now I have to survive with this talent. Until the main plot ensued outside the city, the streets were bustling with people. Inside the Great Hall, the professor was still enthusiastically explaining the dungeons. Small questions like these aren't usually given, but you all need to understand the attack examples of towers and dungeons. Below, Hajin carefully listened to the lecture and wrote down the necessary knowledge. He thought, a few lines of description can create a whole book. If the characters knew, they'd be jealous to tears. But since I have the observation and search talent, I can easily pass this class. Above, the professor continued to lecture about the new era. The name of the tower that Saint Apaso attacked, the rewards they received the system also updated some knowledge. Saint Apaso attacked the Flood Tower and received the Sea Stone. He continued to think, as the name suggests, observe and search I can observe all characters within sight. Hajin recalled the words of those around him. Is that guy so good? He just depends on his talent. If I had a good talent hurry up and finish. Isn't Kim Suho a little too famous? Back to Kim Hajin. His laptop displayed necessary information about this world. He thought, and if I wanted Tohiro, even without the device, I can search for the timeline settings from the eyeball notes. The professor's voice rang out. Remember what you learned today. You all know the writing contest isn't far off, right? Looking around the classroom, he noticed Nayun also attending the class. Waiting for this, she dropped all pretense and yelled in the middle of the class. Why do I have to learn stuff like this? Don't I just need to show my skills in real combat? The door suddenly burst open, interrupting Nayun's words. Another cadet entered, announcing loudly for everyone to hear. Freditas, you're being dispatched to the plaza in 20 minutes. Hearing this, Nayun's face immediately lit up like a cat seeing its prey. In another corner of the classroom, Jonghak and Yona also noticed the announcement. A voice rang out. It's combat training. Unlike the excited expressions of the others, Hajin's face seemed to darken. He thought, dejectedly, it's finally here. Outside in the plaza, a booming voice announced, I hope everyone knows what this training is about. Without further ado, I will announce the teams. Each team will have a total of 4 members. The formation will include 2 warriors, a shooter, and a supporter. Unless special situations occur, these teams will remain the same until the midterm exam. The distribution will be fair, and both low and high-ranking cadets will be placed on the same team. Remember what I said to avoid confusion. Everyone can go and check their teams. Sook stood to the side, clearly announcing the rules of this test. Everyone looked up at the team assignments. Hajin's pupils suddenly contracted. He was surprised by this team division. The team announcements were released. He mentally screamed, "No way." Teamed up with that guy. Hajin's eyebrows furrowed. He couldn't believe this could happen. The announcement appeared. Team 5_ Kim Hajin, Yona. His eyes stared at the board, speechless. Yona's on my team? He recalled, like all novels, next to the main character, there are always people who interact or conflict with him to accelerate the plot. There are many members in the main cast, but among those members, Yona is definitely the most special. She is the main successor of Korea's #1 guild, essence of the straight path, and the successor of a prosperous family. In the novel, she started as an antagonist against Kim Suho, but she gradually became influenced and turned into a dependent ally. Hajin's eyes remained fixed on Yona. He thought to himself, but the connection with Yona is crucial. The more involved I am in the story, the more support I'll gain. During today's training, I'll definitely find a way to grab Yona's attention. Switching scenes to Yona's side, a voice quickly caught her attention. "Hello." Two people approached to greet her. "We're on the same team, right? One of us is Jin Ho-sung, a fairy Veritas lover, and the other is Haruki of Veritas." She scrutinized them for a moment, secretly assessing. "Teammates, right? Don't ignore them." Immediately after identifying her targets, Yona did a complete 180 smiling brightly as she greeted them. "That's right. Please help me, Jin Ho-sung and Ko Hazuki." Seeing Yona's sycophantic attitude overwhelmed them. Ho-sung thought to himself, using honorifics even though we're the same age? What's with that? Glancing around, she only saw 3 people. Yona spoke up. "Where's the last member of our team?" Hajin stepped forward, cutting her off. "That's me." She stared intently at the disheveled man before her, asking doubtfully, "You're?" Facing someone like Yona, he cautiously reminded himself, "Don't trip over your words. Yona hates the most insecure guys." Before he could speak, the other 2 jumped in to introduce themselves. "You're the one who chose the gun during the weapon selection, right?" He was famous among all the freshmen. Engrossed in conversation, they didn't notice teacher Suk approaching. "Do you guys have time to chat?" The teacher's sudden appearance nearly gave all 3 of them a heart attack. He yelled, urging them, "I've already sent the location of the monster each team needs to face. Hurry up." They quickly responded, not daring to delay. Scene changed to a clear beach. 3 figures dashed across the beach. They headed straight for the marked location in the middle of the sea ahead. Yona spoke to the other 3. "It looks like we'll be there soon. Get ready. Once we get there, we'll be able to find information about the monster." In the distance, Hajin seemed to be lagging behind. He slowly dragged his feet forward, thinking to himself, "I'm gonna die. My stamina is already lower than normal, but managing to keep up like this is the best I can do." Watching everyone else sprint ahead without hesitation, he sighed inwardly. This is the norm for cube cadets, huh? Suddenly, Yona stopped. She said to those around her, "We're here, at training area beach number 8, out in the sea." A ship was drifting. Suddenly, a tentacle emerged from the sea, followed by a huge sea creature. Black bump octopus possessed by a monster. They shattered the drifting ship. The 4 of them watched the horrifying scene, unable to do anything. Yona broke the silence. "Let's start the mission plan. Mid-level monster, black bump octopus. The attack power of the main body isn't very high, but the problem is the bump on its head. When it senses danger, the black bump octopus shoots baby octopuses from that bump to attack its enemies. Not only does it spew out tons of bloody baby octopuses at once, but each one is so dangerous that it can turn a normal person into a dried corpse in a second." Ho-sung interrupted. "Then, when the fight starts, we need to prioritize eliminating those baby octopuses first." Hazuki chimed in. "We need to quickly take care of them so that the shooter, Hajin..." Before she could finish, Yona spoke up. "No, I'll deal with the baby octopuses. The warrior will stay in the rear and conserve mana. The recovery speed of the black bump octopus is very fast, so we need to cut off the bump in one attack." Everyone around was stunned by what she said. Hajin couldn't believe his ears. He was astonished. Just now, is she trying to cut me out of the training?" Yona stepped forward, ordering the others. "Everyone ready?" Her face hardened, shouting, "Let's start the mission." Seeing her like this, he looked utterly fed up, thinking to himself, "That bitch." The ship on the sea was gradually falling apart. Instantly, It shattered into pieces due to the impact of the tentacles. A loud noise echoed, drawing its attention. Hosong was on the shore, constantly slamming his axe into the rocks to attract the octopus's attention. His face gradually became anxious. He thought to himself, "First, I need to lure it to the surface." The monster's pupils gradually wavered. It dove underwater, creating a loud noise. Columns of water rose, obscuring the view. It charged towards him like a flash, suddenly emerging. It immediately grabbed Hosong. Cube Trainee Team Monster Conquest. Each person one task. Hosong the bait. Hazuki sword attacks. Hajin range attacks. And Yona, the main damage dealer. Begin. This black bump octopus is indeed a tough opponent. It hasn't been defeated and continues to launch its bumps at them. In just a short moment, a violent explosion rang out right above its head, startling Hosong from afar. But instead of being afraid, he felt a strange surge of excitement within him. It exploded. Hosong immediately retreated to keep his distance, his hand ready to grab the axe on his back. Soon after, the black bump octopus launched smaller clones to attack him. Faced with the overwhelming number of baby octopuses, Hosong didn't dare to charge in and immediately turned to run. But when he saw them relentlessly chasing him, his face turned pale. Just when it seemed like Hosong would be killed right there, a powerful slash from Yona saved him from danger. It couldn't be denied. Yona was truly amazing. Her mana matrix had opened a path for him to live. Under her terrifying destructive power, the baby octopuses exploded like fireworks, leaving nothing behind, not even a speck of dust. After wiping them out, Yona stood tall, full of pride, undaunted by the black bump octopus. After witnessing the hero rescued by beauty scene, even Hosong couldn't help but admire her. What terrifying strength! Images of Yona flashed in his mind, full of power and courage. Ranked 7th among Cooper's cadets, Yona. Having been saved from the clutches of death by her, he was incredibly grateful. Thanks. Just when it seemed like the black-knobbed octopus had been defeated, it stubbornly prepared to launch one last decisive blow. Dream on. Yona wouldn't give it another chance, immediately lashing her whip forward. Her eyes were sharp, and the monster's body began to tense up, revealing a clear killing intent. Clearly, the octopus had chosen to fight Yona to the bitter end. At this point, neither side would yield. In an instant, its flexible tentacles crashed to the ground, coiling rhythmically like snakes, attacking her fiercely. In that critical moment, Yona managed to spring high into the air to dodge its dangerous tentacles. But it didn't stop there. The black-knobbed octopus even launched part of its body towards her, intending to attack Yona with its sharp teeth. Seeing the impending danger, Hazuki shouted a warning. "Be careful." Yona, hearing her frantic cry, suddenly startled and turned around. But it seemed too late. It was only a short distance away from her. Then, unexpectedly, in that split second of life or death, a bullet came flying from somewhere, obliterating it in a flash. It seemed someone had used a gun to provide cover for Yona from below, and that person was none other than Hajin. Although he didn't contribute much, he was always there in the crucial moments. Hajin's quick and timely action helped everyone hold off the black-knobbed octopus. Yona was now completely surprised that the person who had just acted was him. Kim Hajin, he, having worked well with everyone to eliminate the monster, was now very satisfied. Products that can be exchanged for data points will increase whenever Kim Hajin's role in this world becomes more important. It sounds easy enough, but the starting point to achieve that is a long road. But that's quite difficult for someone like me, a genuine nobody. To gain a major role from the start means I only have one choice. Jump into the events that the main character has to go through. And the action just now was also part of his plan. Like right now. Hazuki, seeing Hajin appear here, was also dumbfounded. Hosong was no exception, looking at him with a stunned expression. Kim Hajin, Yona, in particular, felt annoyed by his presence here. I told you to get out of the way. But while they were still bickering and not in formation, the black octopus, with a temper like ice cream, aggressively advanced. It seemed like it couldn't wait any longer and immediately launched smaller versions of itself to gang up on them. Faced with their countless numbers, Yona scowled like a monkey eating chili peppers. What the hell? While everyone still didn't know how to deal with it, Hajin remained motionless in one spot. The only thing the enemy has targeted is a dozen squads, but that's not helpful. They have low intelligence and obvious trajectories. The only moment I can shine. Realizing this was his time to shine, Hajin went into a state of intense focus. Now, in just a split second, his eyes widened, his gaze as sharp as a knife. Killing intense sword, along with a blazing blue aura, radiating with power. Streams of light tore through the wind, bombarding in bullet time with such incredible speed and power that the space seemed to warp. Hajin's highlight is in his speed. The talent I wrote is bullet time. When using it, the flow of time slows down for 3 seconds. And thanks to this, he can almost gain the upper hand when facing them directly. Which means, in those 3 seconds, I can see their movements easily. Thanks to this, Hajin can take them down before they can even resist. Next is simple. I just need to shoot bullets at them. At this point, he had almost completely outplayed them and could take control of the situation. In the remaining 1 second, Hajin quickly gifted each of them a bullet, causing them to log out immediately. Their every movement had stopped, and this was the best opportunity for him to take them all on alone. With only 27 seconds left and no room for hesitation, he poured all his speed into firing the remaining bullets at them. No matter how much time he had, Hajin kept reloading just as quickly. He aimed very carefully forward, because there would be no more chances to correct any mistakes. With only 2 seconds left, the ones near Yona also began to be eliminated by him. And when the 3-second countdown ended, the slow-motion state vanished and returned to real time. Before they could touch a single hair on their heads, Hajin had shot them all down. Before Yona could even whip them, there weren't any left, and they had all exploded. With her quick reflexes, she suddenly realized that this was the perfect time to take down the black-knobbed octopus. The lump on its head hadn't recovered from the remaining losses, so it could be said that this was its most vulnerable moment. Yona didn't hesitate to miss the opportunity and immediately swung her whip towards it. And now the lump on the octopus's head was wrapped around by her whip, with no escape. While Yona was holding the whip, she ordered everyone to take the opportunity to rush up and attack. Everyone seemed to have been waiting for this opportunity for a long time and immediately jumped into the air towards it. Hosong now wore a delighted smile, finally able to put an end to this. And right behind him is Hazuki, ready to unleash her full power for the final blow, releasing her magical energy. With weapons in hand, they charged headfirst toward the black bloated octopus. To defeat it swiftly, Yona did her best to restrain it for as long as possible. And finally they did it. A clean, decisive strike landed. In the blink of an eye, the black bloated octopus was defeated and seawater gushed out like a flood. No matter how fearsome the black bloated octopus was, it couldn't withstand their perfect teamwork. The moment it fell, water erupted everywhere, bringing coolness to the sweltering air. Hajin, having exhausted his skills, began to feel the fatigue. What did we get it? Oh. Yona, as cold as ever, didn't answer, remaining silent. Now that everything was settled, he finally dared to lie down and relax. That was tough. Calculating Team 5_S results. They successfully removed the bloated cyst from the octopus, restoring it to normal. Their final result was well-deserved. Team 5_S total time, 58 minutes and 58 seconds. Current ranking, 16th. Clear the monster. Hajin lay on the ground, looking up wearily. But at least I did it today. The announcement board updated swiftly, displaying the results. Total time, 58 minutes, 58 seconds. Rank, 16th out of 100. But what was truly noteworthy was their impressive leap in the rankings. One would think they'd be satisfied, but Yona stood frozen, utterly disappointed. A Ethos battle was recorded by a drone. I'll send it to your smartwatches. Analyze it yourselves. A. It seemed her expectations were much higher. This result frustrated Yona, making her tremble with bitterness. Only 16th? I know individual performances are evaluated separately. A. And the person she glared at with envious eyes was Nayun. She's even above me. Chai Nayun. Team 2_, Chai Nayun, and 3 others. Rank, 4100. A. She felt utterly helpless, her efforts seemingly in vain. OEI decided to create distance between our team and Nayun's. I tried so hard to win, and this is all I get. Meanwhile, Suho, sitting next to her, was giving Nayun the eye. Despite being separated by Yona, he still gazed at her adoringly. After much thought, Yona still felt dissatisfied, a strange discomfort rising within her. Unable to contain her frustration, she slammed her hand hard on the table. Then, with a fierce look, Yona stormed toward Nayun. She stopped right behind her, the atmosphere heavy and tense. One would think Yona would get physical with Nayun, but she swerved sharply, becoming friendly. €8 Inayan. Oh, Nayun, €8. The two then exchanged small talk about their training. How's your training going? You're doing well. As you can see, I'm only 6th. It's embarrassing. What about you? Though Yona secretly wanted to tear her apart, she outwardly restrained herself. I'm 16th. Instead of expressing regret, Nayun was impressed. You're 16th with Gilman? That's amazing. It would be much better if that guy wasn't holding you back. Suddenly, hearing Nayun mention Hajin, she realized, holding back. That's right. We wasted 50 minutes on a 10-minute route because of him. €8, but his contributions in the fight against the chasing monsters were high. Although he was a bit rough at the beginning, he wasn't bad later on. Yona, of course, couldn't forget that magical moment either. The dozens of squid that monster fired were completely annihilated by his bullets, even before they hit the ground at €8. After this joint mission, she had a different perspective on Hajin. Could he really do that with just ordinary magic bullets? A question began to form in her mind. What is that guy? After wrestling with the black bloated octopus, Hajin needed to regain his strength. After some intense training, he collapsed to the ground, panting. Training area? Suddenly, Hajin remembered something important. I forgot to check my watch because I was so focused on training. I wonder how much it's increased. €8 stat activated due to target. Low-level monster. Accuracy significantly increased. All attacks successful at €8. €8 proficiency increased by 20%. Knowledge increased by 0_0. 3_ luck stat activated. Your eyes and ears seem sharper. Proficiency increased by 27.8 €. Everything was going according to Hajin's plan. €8 seems my luck stat activated during today's training as predicted. €8 in proficiency increased a bit more. Hindering you, Yona, was worth it. Stat increases from training are also significant. €8. €8 through training, strength, endurance, and vitality increased by 0_02%. Surprisingly, mana permeating the muscle cells cause €8. €8 strength, endurance, and vitality increased by 0_03%. All thanks to the help of enlightenment and luck. €8. Feeling he had made significant progress today, Hajin decided to rest. I've increased this much. I'll stop here for today. But just seconds later, he wondered, should I start again? That evening, as night blanketed the world, light still shone from Yona's room. Inside her small room, she wasn't asleep, with something left to do. Yona sat on her chair, arms crossed, with a serious expression, her eyes fixed on the screen. It turned out she was re-watching the video of Hajin's shooting. Yona wanted to see closely how he could shoot them all in such a short time. When she noticed something unusual about his attack, she paused the video. It seems Yona watched this video countless times to catch this detail. From 2_78_ seconds, he fired 60 shots in an instant. She made a gun gesture, pointed forward, and calculated, pulling the trigger 20 times a second. Is that even possible? Or does that trigger finger have some auto-fire button? Yona was determined to figure out how he did it. His speed was extraordinary, but his stamina is weak compared to other trainees, and there's the sudden weapon change. Too many suspicious points. Suddenly, as she was pondering, a notification arrived. I don't remember meeting him at the military academy. For some reason, Jonghak sent her a message late at night. What are you doing? Reading his message made her girlish heart flutter. Yona replied without hesitation, analyzing my video. She's doing boring stuff again. Jonghak stood amidst rubble, texting her. If I'm going to take over the guild, I'll need to recruit some talent first. Your team having talent? All trash. But what about that gun guy? Yona smiled slightly as she read this. Whether genuinely or not, she smiled and complimented Hajin. He acts like he doesn't care, but he cares more than I thought. It's kind of cute. Jonghak also rated his abilities highly. I guess he's okay. His skills are just barely 934_H. Wasn't he lucky to get into this group? After chatting with Jonghak, Yona turned serious. Meet Hajin. One fine morning, at the guild's main headquarters, Sangha's secretary reviewed her schedule. Vice President, the guild visit is set for Friday, 2 weeks from today. But another matter concerned her more. Alright, more importantly, look at this. The image on Sung-ah's large screen was Suho. Isn't Kim Suho amazing? His impressive style and skills captivated her. Elegant movements like water, and a sword style unlike any modern swordsmanship. Sung-ah was drawn to Suho's fresh fighting style. It's like he's dancing with his sword. She highly valued and recognized Suho's agile movements. Look at his unnatural cutting force. It's like he's not slashing a monster, but just cutting through air. Sung-ah showered him with praise. The essence of the sea, the desolation of the moon, the silence of the submissive. I can roughly understand why all the major guilds in Seoul are targeting him. After endless admiration of Suho's talent, Sung-ah decided she had to have him. I have to bring him to my side, no matter what. So next trainee is... Her screen displayed more prominent names. After scrolling back and forth, her eyes landed on someone. Wait. The next person who piqued Sung-ah's interest was Ha-jin, a trainee who uses a gun. Based on what she had heard, the secretary said, yes, he's been talked about a bit in the guild community. It seems many people have watched this video because he's in a team with Yona. Without an automatic rifle, he fired 60 shots in 3 seconds. He hit the target 59 times with those shots. Even if someone pulled the trigger with great speed, a gunman couldn't do that. It seemed Ha-jin's impressive performance had caught people's attention. I thought he was a name that wasn't paid much attention to, but now things are different. Using such a low-grade product to put on such a display, Kim Ha-jin's skills could be called heretical internally. Plus, they say he switched from swords to guns after entering the cube. Hearing this, Sung-ah grasped the situation somewhat. So he awakened. Awakening is when someone realizes their talent, their special ability. Before awakening, they don't know what talent they possess. That's why, in some cases, if the weapon they use doesn't match their post-awakening talent, they might change their main weapon. But because their work will be wasted for 3 years or more if this happens, the military academy actively suggests trainees use various weapons. Although Sung-ah found Ha-jin outstanding, she didn't rate him highly. Awakening at just 17 is quite fast, but it's limited to the range of guns. Nothing too outstanding. Anyway, we should keep an eye on him. Do we have any guides free? Based on her situation awareness, the secretary replied, no, because this batch is very special. Everyone's pushing themselves to their limits. Sung-ah then decided to watch Ha-jin a bit longer to probe his talent. Let's just leave him be. If he's truly a diamond in the rough, he'll shine sooner or later. Whether heretical or not, if it's a bit excessive, it will gradually reveal itself. Sung-ah didn't want to interfere, but chose to stand aside and observe quietly, letting things unfold naturally. Finally, Wednesday arrived. Today was an opportunity for the trainees to compete and show their all. Pairs would face each other to enhance their physical strength and hone their minds. Today was anti-personality training. Everyone was serious and put their heart and soul into winning against their opponent. The process was very organized. Anti-personality training was carried out in groups of 2. Everyone used training weapons during practice, making it easier to assess and reduce the pain. But this was hell on earth for Ha-jin. And 934_H place, Kim Ha-jin. Seriously lucky to get paired like that. Everyone else got a classmate, but you get special treatment. Get up quick. Why am I the only one fighting a professor? It's like he read your mind and explained it. If you're curious, allow me to elaborate. Because the training weapons aren't ready yet. Using real weapons to train against antisocial behavior is too dangerous. So, as your professor, I'll train you separately. But judging by that face, you're already regretting this special treatment. You can't take it, can you? You give up. But with my fighting spirit, how can I accept that? There's no giving up in real combat. Before Ha-jin could protest, the professor threw a punch. Defend yourself. In that split second, Ha-jin activated his cool skill, Chain Flash. He might look like this, but when he gets serious, he can dodge the professor's punches like it's nothing. Even the professor was a bit surprised that Ha-jin could suddenly move so fast. But he couldn't let his guard down for even a second, because the professor would exploit any opening to attack. The professor kept throwing earth-shattering punches, but Ha-jin dodged them all. At that moment, the professor realized something special about him. This kid, his stance might not be perfect, but he can keep up with my speed with his eyes. Incredible reflexes. Ha-jin's speed made him stand out, and he didn't get that speed by accident. It's all thanks to the Thousand Flames eyes. You can see far and generally predict the target's movements. With that skill, Hajin's become a speed king. Of course, the skill does all the work. You just have to dodge. While he was training with the professor, people started teasing him. Hey, look at him. That guy's really jumping around like a monkey. Hearing the whispers, he couldn't help but feel annoyed. Those guys just going along with it, huh? The product count has gone up to 40. After a long day of stretching and loosening his muscles, Hajin rewarded himself with a cold Coca-Cola. He slumped next to the vending machine and sighed like a dragonfly. Hajin seemed almost exhausted. Then, he glanced ahead at his pale, bloodless face. It turned out that Hajin was looking at Yona. She walked past him, looking unhappy. Yona stared at him with a look of hostility and disdain. Hajin didn't say anything to her, just watch her go. Suddenly, seeing her reminded him of something. I'm probably the only one who didn't write her a letter, but her personality is... Afraid Yona would disappear, Hajin quickly pressed the button. Should I try? Before she could get too far, Hajin called out to her, Yona. He didn't have anything important to say. He just wanted to give her Coca-Cola. Yona, though confused, took the Coke. Even though Hajin was being nice, she suspected him. You want to fight? What are you talking about? A moment later, he immediately came up with a reasonable excuse. I got a lot of help in the last session. Consider this a peace offering. A simple test. If just going along gets me 40 products, how many will I get if I talk to one of the main characters? Despite Hajin's sincerity, Yona kept her cool, CEO demeanor. I don't need it. Drink it yourself. And she was brutally honest, second to none. Yona threw the Coke back at him. So, one of the things that bothers me about you is the way you address me. Don't speak informally to me unless I allow it. That's your first warning. After putting on a foolish display in front of Hajin, Yona flipped her hair and left. She clutched her bag and walked forward with confidence. But before she got far, Yona felt something was off. The feeling of holding her bag changed. It feels a bit heavier. To be sure, she opened her bag to see what was inside. Surprise! Even though Yona had returned it, he'd shoved it back in. This idiot. I hate it. She raised it high, ready to take her anger out on it. But after a moment of thought, Yona decided to lower her hand. It wouldn't be good to waste a drink because of Hajin, so she put it back in her bag. Oh well, Coca-Cola's innocent. Hajin was persistent because he knew she liked sweets. Yona. She likes fast food like soda and ramen. And hamburgers. But because of her image, she can't buy them herself. That's her character's setting. Hajin began to get lost in thought. Even if I push the character settings that only I know, if it's just a short conversation, I won't get many products. Of course, I have to force myself into the main storyline. Which means the next part of the main storyline is about to begin. That's it. And the event Hajin was talking about was Jin's attack on the National Weaponry Museum. And who are they? Why would they do that? Jin, those who made a pact with the devil. Jin exchanged their souls for immense power. They became valuable arms working for evil, and they're multiplying. This incident happens with the motive of assassinating someone at the National Weaponry Museum. From what Hajin remembers, the protagonist's surprise visit to the museum to see the exhibition foiled Jin's plans. The protagonist, Kim Suho, drew the attention of several canon characters in this chapter. Even so, the situation hasn't changed much. Though the two protagonists, Kim Suho and Jin, appeared, it's still early, so Jin isn't in too much danger yet. After thinking it over carefully, he made a decision. All right, I can blend into this arc. Now, I have to find a way inside the museum. Suddenly, a guard came and told him to leave. Hey, student, class is over. Why aren't you heading back to the dorm? Hey, student, report your student ID. To avoid any trouble, Hajin didn't argue and immediately grabbed his laptop and left. Sorry, I'll report it right away. The laptop screen showed distorted characters and a garbled code, as if an invisible force were trying to break through the boundary between the digital and real worlds. Then, a digitally glitched envelope icon appeared, indicating an email containing a system error or malicious code. The cube has extracurricular activities. You can think of them as small organizations established by the cadets. Academic, martial arts, first experiences, hobbies, and so on. There are about 100 clubs in the cube, covering all fields. Moreover, in addition to self-improvement, clubs also serve as a social platform between cadets. That's the voice of Kim Hajin. That's what the club I'm joining today follows. The Cube Portal. Another voice suddenly rang out. Hello. Thank you for joining the travel club today. It was the voice of Oh Han-yun, president of the Healing Rain Travel Club. He continued, "There are many amazing people among this year's new members." Suddenly, Oh Han-yun became gloomy. When I received the applications, I wondered if it was real. The students behind him, seeing him like that, encouraged him. "Declare it, Han-yun. Take a deep breath." Then, he continued, "Anyway, let me explain a little about our travel club, Healing Rain." Han-yun explained, "The main goal of our club is to rest. We'll use the warp gates to visit outside the cube once or twice a month." Kim Ha-jin was also present. He was listening intently to the announcement. "We're planning to visit a nearby location for a group social activity today. We're going to Seoul." Oh Han-yun exclaimed with great excitement. Kim Ha-jin looked rather indifferent. He was thinking, a trip to Seoul, where people can freely do whatever they want by dividing into groups of two. Exactly what I wrote in the novel. Kim Ha-jin planned, "My goal today is the Seoul Weapons Museum, where the first main plot kicks off. I'll follow the protagonist there and infiltrate the main storyline." Oh Han-yun's voice was still ringing out. "With the group divisions, come on up and draw lots, everyone." This made Kim Ha-jin a little surprised. "Draw lots? Is the club set up like that? No matter who I'm paired with, I can still." While he was thinking, suddenly his name was read from a piece of paper. Kim Ha-jin. Yu Yona had drawn his name. Not only was she frozen, but even Kim Ha-jin was completely stunned. At this moment, Yu Yona, radiating an intensely distinct aura, said, "Let's go our separate ways." Kim Ha-jin replied with a bit of indifference. "Yu Yona,